everyone, happy Thursday. I want to take a little bit of time today to talk about nutrition, health and fitness, and dieting as a whole and just in general. I'll also be offering up a few resources that you can use and check online for recipes and really to find other individuals that you can follow that are in the health and fitness niche. And I'll include those in the link in the description below and annotations throughout the video as I normally do. So really getting things started, I hear a lot of people talking about dieting, and their first impression of dieting is that you have to starve yourself or stop eating or really just do a broken, and I really say a broken form of intermittent fasting. And when I say broken, I mean that they're just not taking in any sort of nutrients whatsoever. They're not even drinking water. Really what they're doing is just destroying their body. And I find a lot of people do this when they say they want to go on a diet or they want to begin dieting. What they actually do is wake up the next day, they really just don't have anything. They'll skip their breakfast, or they'll have something like, I don't know, maybe an apple. I mean, an apple's not even that bad. That's a pretty decent example. But, you know, they might have some sort of little bar or something. So dieting as a whole doesn't necessarily mean that you have to starve yourself. And if you're not practicing intermittent fasting, every morning you wake up, you should always consider having a breakfast bowl. And I've talked about breakfast bowls in my previous videos, and I'll put some links in the description below to some of those because I don't recall which ones off the top of my head those are, but definitely have a look at them. It's important to really take in early morning nutrients and have that as fuel or energy for yourself that you'll have, and you'll store it basically throughout the day, and you can utilize that, draw upon it when you need it. If you know, let's say you're like me and you have to run to a meeting. If I have a breakfast bowl in the morning, it's great because if I have a random meeting call in the day, or I end up running around doing things I didn't expect to do, I have that energy, that stored energy in me from my early morning, you know, breakfast bowl, and I can use that throughout the day. In addition to that, it's great to have, just if I intend on going to the gym or doing anything that's going to be fully exerting myself, it's very important to have certain nutrients and certain energy levels when doing so. Again, this does not factor in intermittent fasting because I do that, and really I only recommend it for individuals that have mastered their abilities to manage their diet, maintain their calories, and, you know, really just the basics of dieting without starvation on its own prior to getting into intermittent fasting. Because a lot of people seem to think that, and I've been asked, you know, by quite a few individuals as well about my fasting methods, how it works, why I do it, and for some reason people tend to think that, oh, maybe I'll start fasting too and lose tons of weight, but that's not really how it works. You have to have a basic understanding of the principles of nutrition, of what you need to take in, what your caloric maintenance level is, if you should be at a surplus or a deficit in terms of your calories as well, if you're looking to lose weight, gain weight. This is all, you know, really important and really relevant and you know, information to have. So if you are interested in losing weight, it's important that if you're going to be starting a diet, you want to determine what your maintenance level is for basically maintaining your existing weight. How many calories a day do you need to maintain that weight? And if you're interested in losing weight, you really should start off with dropping that just slightly, just ever so slightly. You know, not doing this crazy, I'm not going to eat, starve myself sort of diet. It doesn't work that way, because what ends up happening is, and you know, people describe it as starvation mode, but it really is true. Your body becomes catabolic, and you're just not responding. You're really just breaking down. So what you want to do is keep your body in an anabolic state. In order to do so, you should be having an early morning breakfast bowl or something similar, a midday snack, or, you know, again, something small, tiny, that'll keep you going and keep those energy storage, you know, keep your energy levels high and keep that, you know, energy storage in you because you've taken in that food and those nutrients. So you want to be doing this, and you want to be ensuring that you're watching your calories and you're coming in just below your maintenance. So let's say if you want to lose weight and your maintenance you've determined is 2,000 calories a day, you may want to consider dropping that to 1,800 calories a day. And when you're doing so, you want to ensure that you're taking in the proper nutrients at the same time. So those calories that you're taking in, they shouldn't be from McDonald's or, you know, Wendy's or Burger King or whatever the hell you're, you know, any sort of fast food, Tim Hortons, anything like that. It should be from great healthy sources. So when you're eating your foods, when you're taking your nutrients, try to ensure that you're taking in everything that is or as organic as possible, as natural, as earth-grown, grass-fed as possible. You want to ensure that what you're taking in is not processed. And I've talked about this in many previous videos. I even talked about this in a video where I showed a grocery run, which I did. And you can have a look at that right here. It was a run that I did to a local farmer's market, and I just included everything, you know, that came in that grocery haul, and I put a link in that video to an Instagram photo which actually showed the full amount of groceries which you know I was able to pick up for a pretty reasonable price, considering, especially if you compare with grocery store prices. So I mean, I'm getting a little off topic here, but really at the end of the day, what you want to do to lose weight is determine what your maintenance level is for your calories, so your caloric maintenance. Let's say if it's 2,000, and there's a lot of easy ways to do this. There's a lot of cool apps. Again, I made a video on this stuff right there. Take a look at it, check it out. A great one to use is MyFitnessPal or Fitocracy, you know, just to briefly mention them. But have a look at that video because I've mentioned quite a few. You want to determine what your maintenance is. You want to drop just below that, and you want to have a deficit, so a calorie deficit, just slightly. You want to ensure that you're exercising, you're having a healthy and active lifestyle, and you want to ensure that the foods that you are taking in are as natural as possible, not processed. Now, that's really just the basics of how to start losing weight and dieting. A lot of people seem to think, as I mentioned earlier in this video, that when you want to start dieting, you wake up the next day and you skip meals and you just, you know, just treat your body like trash, really. That's not what it's about. What you should be doing is taking in as much water as possible and doing exactly what I just described. That's how you lose weight. That's how it all gets started. That's how you get the ball rolling. And once you've figured that out, you can start getting into more complex things like trying to determine what your macronutrients should be, what your macros should be, what that intake should be. So for me, I like to typically try to take in a fair amount of carbs and proteins, and I go a little bit lighter on the fats. So if I was to break it down into a percentage, I would say around 50 or so percent, maybe even in the 40% protein. And then I'll do around the same amount in carbs, to be honest, because carbs are great for building muscle. And I try to have complex carbs as clean as possible. I try not to do it dirty, but sometimes I just have to. So sometimes I'll have, you know, a little bit of a dirty carb. And an example of that would be, you know, I had a pizza recently. I mean, as long as I know what the percentages is, what the values are, what the macros are of that particular food, because when I look at food, I see numbers now. I don't just see, oh, this looks like a really tasty pizza. I look at that pizza and I say, okay, well, this looks like it has 15 proteins because it's made from spinach and arugula. It looks like it has, you know, not too many fats because there's no cheese on it. It's just the sauce. It looks like it's made from gluten-free bread or, you know, otherwise, and in which case it has these sort of carbs, in which case they are great muscle-building carbs and they're great for me. So it's not a dirty pizza. So all these things are really important when you're trying to diet, when you're factoring in foods and trying to figure out the, you know, the percentages of, and macros of certain, you know, certain foods. I'm getting a little bit too complicated here. That's not what this is about. This is the basics of how to start dieting. So what I said in the earlier portions of this video, and once you've mastered determining what your, you know, your baseline calorie intake is, and then dropping just below that, ensuring that you're taking in proper nutrients throughout the day. Mike Dolce says, eat until you're satisfied, not until you're full. It's a great thing to keep in the back of your mind throughout the day, because if you're eating and a lot of people think, well, you know what, I could keep going, but you really got to keep that in the back of your head. Eat until you're satisfied, not until you're full. It's a great advice from Mike Dolce and the Dolce diet. Link in the description below for that. It's another great resource that I've always used. So that's all I wanted to talk about today. I think I've made this a little longer than I expected, and I'll put as many links as I can in the description below. If you have any questions about dieting, or let me know what you're doing with your diet, comment section down below, any other social network. And that's pretty much it. I want you to have a great Thursday. And just as a heads up, what I'm actually going to be doing going forward is I'm going to start doing shoutouts on Friday. So, you know, in previous months I've always done Follow Friday shoutouts on Twitter and things like that. What I want to start doing is Follow Friday and shoutouts on Instagram, YouTube. I want to shout out to a lot of people that are in the industry of health and fitness, in the tech industry, stuff that I'm interested in, and I want to give a shout out to them because I really appreciate the information that they're providing, either the content they're creating, the content they're producing, or if they are just really influential individuals and they're supportive of people within their community, then I'd like to give a shout out to them as well. So that's pretty much it. Have yourself a good Thursday again, and take care.
you.